So, hi, my name is Kennedy Fitzpatrick. I am an 8th grade student at Barret Traditional Middle School, and this is my backpack early defense. So, I play basketball here at Barret, and I'm hoping to play in the future in high school and hopefully in college. And I chose this quote because I feel like it represents me as a Christian and a learner and as an athlete. And it says, "A winner is someone who recognizes her God-given talents, works her tail off to develop them into skills, and uses these skills to accomplish her goals." And that was said by Larry Bird. So I am a Christian and I attend Northeast Christian Church, and this April in 2019 I will be going on a mission trip to Houston, Texas to provide relief for Hurricane Harvey. So Christ, basketball, and me. So I am a Christian and an athlete, and I feel like this is a lot about my personality. I feel like it adds a lot to my personality. And the quote discusses how we can use our skills and develop our skills to accomplish our goals in the future. So I feel like a lot of what we do here at school and like with this backpack and our success skills, I feel like a lot of everything I did this year and throughout my time at Barret has helped me to accomplish my goals in the future and my goals now, whether they be long-term or short-term. And many of the skills, morals, and values found in basketball and Christianity can also be used here at school, and I feel like I use them very well at school. And many of the things applied in basketball and Christianity can be applied as a young student and a young adult in the workforce. So my areas of strength for math are, in my mathematics score for math was a 242, and my areas of strength were operations and algebraic thinking, and that did grow from last time. I didn't do very well, and that was actually my lowest scoring category in the winter, or in the fall, and in the winter I came back and that was my highest scoring category. For reading, I scored a 229, and my areas of strength were vocabulary, acquisition and use, and literary and text and craft and structure. And my literary and text, craft and structure was my lowest scoring category in winter, and then in the spring or in the fall it was my lowest scoring category, and in the winter is my highest scoring category. How can I reach my math goal in the future? So for math, my math goal is a 245, and for reading, it is a 232. So in the future, I'm planning on reaching my math goal because my study island is pinpointed to what I needed to work on, and everything that is low for math or is high, and the things that they just want me to get extra practice on. And I'm planning on using study island to my advantage so I can improve. And I will also work slowly through the assessment, pay attention to different questions, and make sure I have a full understanding so that I can do my very best. My math artifact, and I chose my exponential functions project. So this project, I had to create my own city, and I had to use population, and I showed that population was growing through this project. So I chose my initial value as 3,500,000, and I had to show that it was growing exponentially through different years and different times. And so on this project, I scored a 69%. And I felt that wasn't my best, but my teacher gave me an extra shot so that I could improve my mistakes and do better in the future. So this is my exponential functions project revision. And on this, I highlighted my different initial values, which was part of the rubric in the project. But I felt like I got a better understanding through my revision, and I had to correct my mistakes so that I could be a prepared and resilient learner. So through this project, I was a prepared and resilient learner because I corrected my mistakes. I found my mistakes, and so I would be better in the future. And I was also an effective communicator because I communicated that I know my stuff and I know my exponential functions and I know what I'm talking about. And I also was an emerging innovator because I was creative and I had to create my own city and create my own population and how it was growing and how it was going to change in the future exponentially. So on my first project, I scored a 69%, and in my revision, I scored an 85%. For my language arts artifact, I chose my Esperanza Rising project. So this is a book that I read this year in 8th grade, and I attached a QR code to this bar. So if you scroll down, you'll be able to see this QR code, and this is the book cover. And so I just had to create a YouTube video, and I had to make it a book trailer so that the readers, it would pop out the readers and would make the readers want to read it. And so if you want to watch it, you can just click on that QR code. And I had to be an effective communicator through this because I had to communicate what the book was about and how, what the different trials and errors that the main character went through. But I also had to be an emerging innovator because I wanted to be unique and I wanted mine to stand out for everybody. I wanted to make the reader know exactly what they were going to read and what they were getting themselves into, but I wanted to make it very interesting so that they would want to read it and it would stand out from everybody else's because there were some students in my class that read the exact same book, and I wanted mine to be the best. And I also had to be an emerging innovator and effective communicator through my letter to Ponyboy. So last year I read the book The Outsiders, and one of the main characters in this book is Ponyboy. And there is also a character in the book named Cherry Valance, and I had to be in the point of view of Cherry Valance and write a letter to Ponyboy in The Outsiders and help him make a decision about how he was going to fight a different group in The Outsiders. And through this, I had to be an effective communicator because I had to show the ideas through the book, and I had to show Cherry's point of view about the book and what Ponyboy should do in this situation, and I had to step into her shoes and be her, and I had to understand the book and understand how I was going to approach the problem, how I was going to change Ponyboy's mind. But I also had to be an emerging innovator because I had to put my own spin on what Cherry was thinking and what Cherry was going to tell Ponyboy and how she was going to do it and how she was going to convince him and persuade him into what she was wanting him to do. So for my social studies artifact, I chose my Regional Economies of the 13 Colonies project. And in this project, I had to create a map of all the 13 colonies in the U.S., in North America, and I had to pinpoint the different religions and the different practices that those people practiced in those different regions and in those different 13 colonies. And I also had to show how they lived, what they relied on, the different resources they relied on, and what they believed in through this project. And through this project, I had to be an emerging innovator and an effective communicator. So I had to be an emerging innovator because in this project, I had to be unique. I had to make mine look different, and I had to understand the topic. That's why I had to be an effective communicator. And I also had to be globally and culturally competent. So in this project, we had to show what it was on the map and like the different places that they lived and stuff. So I had to be globally and culturally competent citizen because I had to know how they lived culturally, but also globally and geographically where they lived and how they relied on the resources that they had. And I also had to be an effective communicator and show that I knew the topic and the different way that they were going to be successful and thrive in their colonies. I also chose my Native American Culture Areas project. And on this project, I had to draw North America and label the different tribes in the different regions of North America. And then I picked two regions, which I chose the Great Plains and the Southeast. And I had to explain how the different tribes lived in those areas. And it was very different because it was on two different parts of the U.S., so they had different resources and different things that they had to sustain their living with and had to survive with. So through this project, I had to be an emerging innovator. And I had to be an emerging innovator because I had to be creative, and I had to show I think my project's pretty eye-catching, if I do say so myself. And I had to be unique, and I had to make mine look different, and I had to be globally and culturally competent. I had to know how they lived and the differences between like the Great Plains and the Southeast, and how they were going to be successful and survive. And I also had to be an effective communicator because I communicate that I understood these concepts and that I understood how the Native Americans lived and the different places they lived. So some of my success skill strengths. Through all my time at Barret, I had to be a prepared and resilient learner. I had to be a prepared and resilient learner because we did a lot of revisions. I feel like a lot of that came this year, especially with our backpack. We had to, when we did a project, we wanted to do a revision and what we thought about the project and how we believed that we did on this project, what we can improve on in the future. So I feel like all my time at Barret, I had to be prepared and resilient because I had to find my mistakes, correct them so I wouldn't have to go back and correct them in the future, and I could be successful in the future. I had to be an effective communicator through all my time at Barret because I feel like in all my projects and everything I did, I was communicating the topic I learned and how I was going to apply it in my future and how I was going to apply what I learned in my future. And I also had to be an emerging innovator through all my time at Barret because I am a perfectionist and I like standing out and I want to stand out and I always want to do my own thing and I want to be the best. And I felt like I had to be unique and be an innovator and create my own ideas and put my own spin on things so that even though we were doing the same projects in class as all my classmates, mine would stand out and mine would be the best. I feel like one of my projects that would show that I'm a prepared and resilient learner would be my Kentucky Derby painting. So I did this in my advanced math class, my advanced art class, and I was chosen. 4 other students were chosen, so there was 5 from my school chosen. And our project, so this painting that I created that has to do with the Kentucky Derby was entered into this contest. And I believe that I was prepared and resilient because I had a lot of mistakes. I had to cover up some things that I didn't like. I had to fix some things to make mine different, make mine stand out, because a lot of people drew a picture of a horse running on the track. So I had to make mine different. That's why I put the gold in the painting. That's why I was prepared and resilient. And then I was also an emerging innovator through my Native American Cultures Area project, which I did talk about a second ago, and how I had to make mine unique because I can tell you for sure that nobody else's project looked just like mine. And I was also an effective communicator through my letter to myself. So in 7th grade, I wrote this letter to myself, and it was about the goals I wanted to accomplish in the future, what I had accomplished in the past year, and how I was going to make my 8th grade year better and throughout my life, and what I wanted to accomplish throughout my life, even after high school. So I felt like this made me an effective communicator because I was communicating my ideas and what I thought and like what I believed in myself through this letter, and I was communicating what I wanted to do and how I was going to do it, and what success skills what skills I was going to use to definitely make this a reality for me. Some success skill growths would be me being a productive collaborator. So all my time at Barret, and I'm sure of in the future that I will be working in groups, and I did work in groups all my time at Barret, and I felt like I had to collaborate with others, and I had to be a good teammate and be a good group mate so that we could all get our work done, not only collaboratively but successfully, so we'd all get good grades. But I felt like this has been a growth for me because I like doing things by myself. I like being very independent and creating my own spin on things and being unique. But I feel like I had to grow in this area because we had to work so much in groups, and we had to be collaborative and share each other's ideas. So I felt like this was a big improvement for me. But I also know that this will help me in high school because I know that there's a lot of group work in high school, and especially in the workforce, you all work together because that's how you get things done. So I felt like that was a improvement for me. And in conclusion, I am planning on attending Louisville Male High School and hopefully playing basketball there. For all these reasons, I am ready to go to high school because I'm an emerging innovator, a prepared and resilient learner, an effective communicator, and a globally and culturally competent citizen. So I am ready for high school. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Of all the artifacts that you had, which one is had the biggest impact on you?
I felt like my Native American Culture Areas project had the biggest impact on me. So not only was it about the topic and what I was learning about, and that these different tribes were here and these different tribes were there, but when I was doing this project, I wanted mine to be the best, and I scored 100% on this project, so I am completely sure that I did exactly what I needed to do. But I wanted mine to be the best, and I wanted to communicate my ideas in a different way than everybody else. Everybody else put this on the same paper, and they did the same things. You pick 2 culture areas, or you pick 2 regions, and you have to explain them, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted mine to stand out, and I wanted mine to be the best, and I felt like this project really resembles everything I've done at Barret and what I plan to do in the future, because I knew that this is just a project, but I wanted mine to stand out just like I want me to stand out in the future, and how I want to be the best at my high school. I want to be the best in my workforce. I want to be the best in everything I do. And so I felt like I showed all the success skills through this: emerging innovator, globally and culturally competent citizen, prepared and resilient learner, and effective communicator, because I applied all of these in this project.
I got a question. So, for example, when you're doing group work in the class, for example, and you come up with this great idea and you present it to the group for your idea, but they're not buying it, what's your next move?
I would definitely try to put every single idea and every single rebuttal that I have to prove that this is the best way to go, and to persuade them that this is how to do it. But I also am definitely mindful of their ideas and try to collaborate with them so that they can all feel like they are part of the group, and it's not just me, and I'm not trying to take over what we're doing, because I felt like if that happened to me, I would be upset, and I want to be independent. But I feel like if I had an idea that I wanted to be to stand out in the group, or I wanted to be a big part of the project, I feel like I would try to show why I believe that this is what we should do, and how it was going to make us successful on the project.
Show the panel what that green thing is.
Okay. So this is my ocarina, and I created this in art. And this, I had to be a resilient learner because this was very hard to make. We had to create a 45-degree angle in the bottom of this little turtle that I made mine into it. But it's a whistle, so it creates a sound, and I will demonstrate that. And so I had to be prepared and resilient because I probably did this 7 or 8 times probably before I got it. And before I got it to make the sound I wanted. I got it the first 2 or 3 times that I made the cut to make the 45-degree angle, but I wanted it to make a bigger sound and wanted mine to be unique. And so I felt I had to create this, and I had to show like why I knew how to do it. But it was really cool. It was a really fun project. I felt like I learned a lot about how to continue even though I wasn't getting it on the first try. So I also did this project in art, and this is a mosaic that I created. I looked off a picture on Google of mountains like like a sunset in the background that had like snow all over them, and I just looked at the picture and then used the same colors and the same shapes to create the picture through pieces of paper.
And one more question. Yeah, one more question. So, from your time here at Barret, or your elementary school, or in your personal life outside of school, tell me about a time that you have failed and what you did to get past that.
Okay, so last year in 7th grade, I was my 7th grade class president, and when I first started public speaking to whether it be my grade or the adults, like the staff members at Barret, I was really nervous, and I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I didn't share my ideas and like what I wanted to do at Barret through my public speaking or like my speech that I was giving. But so I felt like I failed at that. But as I moved on in the year and I became more comfortable and more confident in myself, I felt like that built. And so at the end of the year, we did a pep rally for K-Prep, and we talked about like we got our entire school like hyped for K-Prep, and I spoke at it, and I felt like I did so much better and I improved on everything I did throughout the year of 7th grade because that was the biggest crowd I talked to out of all the time that I had public spoke at Barret. And I had to believe that like I was ready for this, but I felt like I improved so much from the beginning of the year, from my starting point to the end of when I was the 7th grade class president, and I felt like I truly succeeded in what I was doing with public speaking and stuff like that.